There we go. Got a little food, so that's nice. Any case, seeing some of the things in regards of against Paulus and all that. Now, of course, I have issues with Paulus as well. So pretty much, I think he was the first so-called pope. So, of course, the Roman Catholic Church wants to say it's Peter that is the, first so-called pope. But I think it was Paul. And he went to Rome. We know he went to Rome because that is in regards to the book of Acts. We also know that he pretty much was the head of the first Inquisition, of the Christians. And so, and of course, was tearing down the law and, leading people into lawlessness. So, yeah, so that's pretty much, and it's still working today, that people believe that keeping the law will make you lose salvation, which is just nonsense, because actually keeping the law is the thing that actually leads you to salvation, and not away from salvation, because the first and foremost commandment is to love God. And if you love God, well, you have to love Jesus, right? And thereby you would come to him. Anyway, so in regards to Matthew, that was some interesting things here. And I guess, of course, this is in the future, but, still. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And the elect would be, of course, the picked, chosen, the saints, interesting, Okay, Anyway, then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christ, and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So the deceptions of these, and of course we know in regards of wolves in sheep clothing as well. We know Yeshua's warning in regards of wolves in sheep clothing. And what is a wolf in sheep clothing? Well, someone that makes out to be Christian, yet is a wolf. Like Muhammad is a stinking wolf that you can smell miles away. So that shouldn't be any problem to actually discount as, he's a false prophet. But wolves in sheep clothing are a lot harder because they make them, they make themselves, in regards of Christians, but yet they are not. And anyway, for there shall rise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So, behold, I have told you before, wherefore if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Now, I think this is actually pretty interesting in regards of Paulus. I was thinking in regards of, out in the desert, well, where did Paul actually see his so-called vision and all that, and this encounter that he had, that we have 4 stories about, and seemingly having some differences. But anyway, so of course it is to be expected that Satan would react pretty quickly afterwards, because Yeshua said that he would. Satan would sow the bad poisoners, and as I see it, that must be the lawless seeds in the world, growing up with the good eatable law-abiding seeds, and both proclaiming themselves Christians, yet the difference in it is, you have people, trying to keep the law, and you have people that tries to pretty much destroy the law, or. So anyway, and mixing together on, and this is still an ongoing prophecy because the harvest is yet future and so forward. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert. I was like, okay, so he's in the desert. Well, again, Paul. Now, of course, this wouldn't be in regards of in regards but in regards of the desert, Paul was in the desert, right? When he saw this, when he encountered so-called Jesus, and he's talking about he didn't go to the apostles first to actually, it's like incredible, You have the apostles around and you don't go to apostles to be instructed by them in regards to who Jesus is. You go to Arabia according to the letter of Galatia, I think. Anyway, it's just, and then go back to, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. I don't trust Paul. That's pretty much it. I think he's a wolf in sheep clothing. It is interesting in regards to one of his letters. I think it's Galatia again, where he talks about that he went up to Jerusalem, and he says that he didn't really get any other commandments than to collect money for those in Jerusalem. And I'm like, we don't see that in the book of Acts, although we see 4 commandments to the Gentiles. We don't see anything in regards of collecting money, to those in Jerusalem. That is a direct. So the question is, in regards to the timeline and all that, how that works out. Because if it's actually after the council, where they actually got 4 commandments, which is actually Torah commandments. Not eating food sacrificed to false gods. So you're not defiling yourself. Not drinking blood, not doing, not committing whoredom or adultery. I think it's whoredom actually. But anyway, and not eating anything that has been strangled and so forward. And of course, it seems like the Gentiles would be listening to Moses every single Sabbath. And by the way, that would be the 4th commandment, by the way, keeping the Sabbath, right? A day of rest, not Sunday, but Saturday, pretty much. Anyway. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth, behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. I don't know what these secret chambers is. A storeroom, a chamber, especially an inner chamber. I'm thinking the Roman Catholic church. They believe that the cookie becomes Jesus, so they say, that's Jesus, what, it becomes God, and we sacrifice him for the dead and the living, and again and again and again and again in these whorehouses of the Roman Catholics, and we're allowed to worship the cookie and all that. I don't know, but that's I think that was a little interesting. But of course, Yeshua is talking about in regards to future, the tribulation and all that we shouldn't be deceived if anyone says he's there or whatever. But I still think it actually can be used in regards of, secret chamber. It's, I don't know, maybe it's a little, I do wonder what the Aramaic actually says. It would be interesting to also see what the Hebrew says. But overall, if you take the whole New Testament in context, I think Jesus or Yeshua is warning us about Paul all over. You see it in the book of Matthew, the book of Revelation. You see it so many places where if you begin to collect the pieces, there are 2 gospels going out in the world. There's both of them is in the name of Yeshua. But one is with the law and the other is without the law. So, let's see where we have. So let's see. If therefore they will say to you, behold, he is in the desert, you should not go out. Or behold, he is in the inner room, do not believe it. Again, an inner room, you have the Catholic Church, I guess it's, I don't know, maybe it's something else, but, I guess, they will say that Jesus is being made into Of course, they also have these places where they put the cookies that has not been in a special place. I guess that might be. I don't know if that would be considered in a room or whatever. But whatever the case, people, of course, the Roman Catholics won't come out directly say that they believe in a cookie Jesus. And they can sound very, very, very Christian, in regards to talking about Jesus and all that. You just have to be aware that they believe in a cookie Jesus. Now they won't tell you usually. I guess that might be later on if they get you into this Roman Catholic insanity institution. But at the beginning, I'd never really heard any Roman Catholic tell me they believe in a cookie. You have to question them. You have to, and then they was, and then you can say, no, that's no go. That's idolatry. That's whoring with Satan and all that. That's bullshit, And of course, so you really have to know what they believe to, because it's very deceptive. It's very, very deceptive. Anyway, for Jesus says, for just as lightning goes out from the east and appears unto the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. That's in regards of the return of Yeshua. So that will be, everybody at that point will see him. I see wherever the body will be, there will the eagles be gathered. I think that might be a reference in regards of the battle that is going to go on. So anyway, but immediately after the suffering of those days, the sun will darken, and the moon will not show its light, and the stars will fall from the heavens, and the power of the heavens will be disturbed. I have no idea in regards to those stars falling down and all that. But if that is literally, but anyway, the moon would be literal, right? And the sun would be literally. I guess in regards to the stars falling from heaven, it's not to say that they fall down on the earth as such, something in regards to the book of Revelation where the heavens rolls up, So that might be actually in that, I guess that would actually work, thinking about, the stars are going to fall down on earth. How would that work? Well, actually, that might not be what it actually is saying, in regards of, we have the book of Revelation where the heavens will roll up, like a scroll, I think it was. Anyway, and then the sign of the Son of Man in heaven will appear, and then all the families of earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man who comes in the clouds of heaven with miracles and many praises. It's interesting that all the earth will, of course, this is not the King James Version. Let's go for the... but it's interesting that they would mourn, right? And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then appear the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens. Then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. So I guess tribes would probably be the nations. A nation, a people of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the... it's interesting, that the world is at a point where they will actually mourn. They will actually, be in grief in some sense, lament, in regards of the Son of Man coming. I guess, Satan has been very, very deceptive in leading people astray. And I guess people don't want to have God ruling on earth, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect, and the elect would be the saints. They would be Christians. Oh, we actually have a problem with the connection. That's the first, in regards of this new updated version. So they still have this problem of the program actually complaining. Anyway, at least I can still go online without any problem, seems, with this. So anyway, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So this must be in regards of the eatable wheat, that he takes into the barn, as I understand it. So at that point, the Roman Catholic institution is probably destroyed. I'm not totally sure, but it seems like the whore is Rome, and it seems like she will be destroyed at some point. She's drunken by the blood of the saints. But the Antichrist will continue, the Roman Antichrist will continue to rule. So my suggestion would probably be that he probably don't need the Roman Catholic system anymore to deceive people, because people, you already have them totally deceived at that point. So I guess the world is probably going total satanic at that point. Obvious satanic. And not just hiding in wolves, hiding in sheep clothing, but actually being more obvious. Because everybody just accepts it at that point. So because we have those that are, maybe let's see here. So now learn, because we have the poisonous seeds being destroyed in the fire before the good eatable wheat is collected into the barn of Yeshua. So anyway, I still have a lot of more research to do in regards to these things, but you're getting more and more of the image and all that. It does take time because there's so much bullshit out there. So likewise, and then of course there's Paul. Of course, some of the things that Paul says can actually help, but you still have to be careful. It's the same thing with Catholic sources, Roman Catholic, the Romanizers. You can read Romanizing sources and you can still learn something from them. You just have to discern what because it's from their perspective, So you still can learn something from their sources, but you just have to be aware that it's, for example, someone promoting Roman Catholic doctrines, and attacking the festivals of God and so forward. Well, if he's attacking Judaizers that are still keeping the festivals, well, then you can see that there are still people around keeping these things, because you see the attacks on them, or the law that changes in regards of away from the Bible and so forward. So you can still learn a lot but you just have to discern, So likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. So when we begin to see all these things, that the world has gone totally nutcase and all that, then it's very, very, very close. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. And people will say in regards of generation, I think he's talking about the generation at that point. That when these things begins to happen, we are very close to the return of Yeshua. So let's see here. The heavens and the earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away, he says. So yeah. And of course, in regards of the law of God, being done away, as some people thinks, well, Yeshua said that not one tittle or jot and tittle will be, removed, as long as the heavens, and, it's easier for the heavens and the earth to be done away. Well, the earth and the heavens are still there. So, in any case, so let's see here. So what we need to do is just to repent and turn back to the law of Jehovah. Now, we're not perfect, but of course the first commandment is in regards of loving God, that leads us to the salvation in regards of Yeshua. But then to go in the direction of his instructions, because we have the father of lies in the world, who deceives the people and all that. And the closer we can get to the truth, the harder it is for Satan to deceive us and lead us astray. So it seems to me that it's always a good thing to go in the direction of the Bible and Jesus, in regards to the law, the prophets, and in regards of Yeshua, in regards of these instructions that is found. And be very careful of Paul, because Paul will lead you into lawlessness. At least so many is led into lawlessness and all these weird things in regards of, and become attackers of those that are trying to keep the law, and try to tell them they will lose salvation if they, keep, the festivals found in the Bible, which actually our master kept and all that. It's very easy actually to understand what we need to do because Yeshua is the master, right? We are his disciples. So what should a disciple become like? Well, a disciple should become more like his master, right? Every pagan that goes to India, I think, knows that. They go to a guru to become more like the guru, right? But of course, I wouldn't go that way in regards of Hinduism and all that bullshit and pagan bullshit and all that. But of course, disciples should become like his master. So how was our master? Well, he kept the law. He kept the festivals found in the Torah, and and so forward. He was without sin. So if he was without sin, and we being transgressors, and we should at least strive to go in that direction, right? To show that we love God by keeping his commandments and loving our neighbor. Those two commandments go hand in hand, it seems, as far as I can see. Because if you're doing what God wants, you're also loving your neighbor at the same time. Now in regards of adultery, right? If you commit adultery, you're breaking the first commandment, and in regards of loving God, and you're also breaking the second commandment in regards of loving your neighbor because you're committing adultery with a neighbor's wife, for example, like Joseph, for example, in the Torah. So by not doing that, you're showing that you love God, and you're also showing that you love your neighbor. So you're fulfilling those two laws that the law hangs on. Anyway, so, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So they didn't apparently pay attention to anything, and then the flood came about. And apparently we have problems with the connection. I have no idea why. I thought they actually had fixed that in this version, but apparently not. And I have updated to the new version if I remember correctly, right? So yeah, it is the new version. Apparently you need to have problems. Apparently always. It might just be YouTube that is the problem here, but still, it's a big, in regards of. And that must be a possibility to actually take the resolution down, but apparently not. Anyway, so I knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. And in regards to taken, I guess that would be good thing, I think. I know there's some differences in regard, but of course, in regards to the angels are sent out, right? So if the angels are sent out to collect, the saints or the elected, well, then one shall be taken would be a good thing, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what the hour your Lord doeth come. So, but know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. Okay. Who then is a faithful and wise servant? A servant... servant seems pretty good. Servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Wait. Who then is a faithful and wise servant whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayed his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, strike, beat, smite. and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And this is a thing that I actually found other places in regards to weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, taking all the parables, and I still have a lot of, but, growing. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom, and 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps, and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels and their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. Not sure in regards to trimming, put in order. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, No, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourself. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. So, by the way, in regards to which, we have we have the tribulation, right? And then we have the collection of the saints, by the angels. So that would be after the tribulation, as far as I can see. And of course, then other things are going to happen, but at least it seems that there are still Christians around at this point, believers in Yeshua. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. I guess in regards to I know you not, I do wonder in regards of, Yeshua is talking about another place where he says, there will be people saying, Lord, Lord, haven't we done this and that and all that? And he says, verily, I tell you, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So I wonder if these other virgins, looking like, maybe they are lawless. Maybe the problem is that they are, lawless. I don't know. It's a little hard. I'm still grasping a little in regards to these things, but he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. So he didn't know these 5 virgins, And again, that's the same thing he says to the people that, that don't keep the law, that says the law is done away, the anomas, that those that are without the law, he doesn't know them. So as this is future prophecy. Yeshua talks about in Matthew 5 or 7 or something like that, where he says, even they say Lord, Lord, they proclaim him Lord, they apparently believe in him and all that. Well, I believe in the name anyway. They're proclaiming him, and yet he says he didn't know them. So I guess this is, I know you not. This is another way, I guess, to say I don't know you. Maybe it's in regards of the law again. That, I guess the oil must then be some in regards of the law. I don't know, filling up I don't know. Watch therefore, for ye know. Now, of course, in regards of the Torah is a light to my feet, right? So, yeah. I know something in regards to the oil as well, but anyway. I'm a little tired. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, to his ability, to one's ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he had received the 5 talents, went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. And so he that had received the 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. And so forward and so forth. But anyway, if you take it, you see these 2 groups that seems to be pointed out. In overall, and I think Paul started the second group in some sense. But again, it's not to say that one cannot learn anything from his letters. It's just to say that you have to be very, 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 very careful, because if you only read the letters of Paul, you will probably be led into lawlessness. Because a lot of people are being led into lawlessness. I think Martin Luther ended up, sadly on having issues because he put so much effort on Paulus in regards instead of putting effort on Yeshua. But anyway, there was some problems there for sure. So that's, I guess, all. I was just thinking, so the 2 most popular versions of Yeshua out there is the Roman Catholic version, the fake versions. The Roman Catholics in regards to the cookie, they believe the priest makes this cookie, this bread, this unleavened bread, this dry wafer into God. And then apparently they're allowed to worship it as well. And sometimes they put it in this monstrance with sun rays around it, whatever. They really believe it literally becomes the blood, flesh, sinews, souls, and so forward of Jesus Christ. I think it's bullshit. Anyway, but that's the Roman Catholic versions. You can sit and talk with a Roman Catholic without actually noticing he's a Roman Catholic, because they will talk about Jesus like any other, pretty much. Yet, you just have to be aware they're actually believing in a cookie. Yeah. And of course, they will twist scriptures to say, that this, when Yeshua is talking about the living bread, he's not talking about a cookie. He's not standing with a cookie in his hand, a round wafer, He's talking about the living bread that came down from the heavens. Now, what is the living bread that came down from the heavens? That's Yeshua himself. That's the living bread, that whosoever eats of that, of his body and drink his blood, believing, shall be saved, have everlasting life, even if he die, he shall live. And we're pretty low on battery, so I guess it will probably turn off in a moment, and I guess that's just how it is sometimes. It really goes quickly with this battery thing when you're recording and all that. So that's, I guess I'm going to continue with, it was nice with some food, some good food here. I had it did seem to start up in my arms again in regards of, getting worse. I guess the best thing is just to, I was eating, did eat a little in regards where there's a little sugar in it in regards of mackerel. But there's the lowest sauce I know in regards. It's like 1.2 grams of sugar or something like that. And of course I did eat some cucumbers as well. But it seemed to, stir my arms up again. And I don't know, maybe, it's just, I guess it seems to be a loose situation, I don't know, it's just, Again, maybe the best thing is just to get totally on a meat only diet again and just see what happens after half a year or a year. If I can, if I can keep only